students, and welcome to week 5 of our Learning Together. This week we'll begin our conversation thinking about response to intervention, or RTI. So this is a visual representation of RTI, or our thinking around students' transfer of learning when we're thinking about how we're delivering our Common Core or our Common Core instruction. So essentially, we begin teaching using resources and materials that we provide to all students. And then we think about that transfer of learning. How many of our students, or what percentage of our students, are really being successful if we're thinking about their development and their trajectory of learning? Then we may begin to think about what students need this instruction in small groups. How can we use the same resources and the same goals and break that learning down in smaller groups so students transfer that content, knowledge, or information? And then we may have another group of students that may have slightly different goals. Perhaps the goals that we're trying to deliver to our whole group don't quite meet their needs. So how can we differentiate those goals a little bit and provide even smaller groups for those particular students? And then we have students with specialized goals, students who may have learning disabilities, students on IEPs who may need a totally different or individualized program of instruction. But essentially, we're always thinking about all students having access to this information or this content area and really trying to meet the needs and the content that's expected with our Massachusetts grade level expectation standards. And then we're thinking about how we can get students to access those Common Core goals with our curriculum and how can we differentiate in what they need. And then some of our students really getting that differentiated and really specialized instruction. We'll also begin thinking about that connection to assessment. So in order to determine how students are doing, how students are accessing the curriculum based on our instruction, we need to think about that role of assessment and think about multiple measures for assessment. So what's the purpose of our assessment? How are we measuring students' growth? And how are we interacting with students on an ongoing basis with the lens of assessment to determine how effective our instruction is and how they're doing with the differentiated approach that we're providing for them. So we can begin thinking about some informal reading inventories. What expectations, what resources do we have to assess students? And primarily we're going to focus on a running record. So a running record is a type of assessment which really allows us as educators to really determine the reading behaviors of students, their accuracy, their fluency, their comprehension by having individual conversations with them. So running records can be part of informal reading inventories, and they're typically a common part of an informal reading inventory, but essentially they can be done at any given time. So anytime you sit down next to a student, whether it's one-on-one or one student listening to them read in a small group, you can engage in the process of taking a running record to be able to note those reading behaviors and their ability to identify words or their ability to really control that prosody or rate within their reading. So you're really looking at a number of factors within a running record, and it gives you a snapshot of the reading, and it allows you very quickly, and you have the option of engaging in that process frequently, to be able to note students' progress or really assess their ability as readers multiple times. So in between really informal reading inventories or a type of benchmark assessment, it gives you multiple measures so that we can progress monitor students' growth. So really running records can be diagnostic, where we're really looking for next steps in instruction. It can be formative, telling us what to teach next, and really summative, noting their growth over time. And then finally, we'll be talking this week, and our reading is really engaging us with thinking about fluency in the reading process. So how does fluency impact accuracy, or how does accuracy impact fluency? And then thinking about automatic processing, prosody, and rate. I look forward to learning with you this week.